Hello and welcome. I'm Joanna Junak and this is GFN News on gfn.tv. The Global Forum on Nicotine conference will take place once again in Warsaw, Poland. Recently, many European countries, including Poland, have introduced new regulations restricting safer alternatives to smoking. So, in today's program, Przemysław Bobiński, Editor-in-Chief Vapour Poland Safer Nicotine Business Forum, discusses the current state of tobacco harm reduction in Poland. How is this approach understood and implemented in the country? What do the regulations say? And how are safer nicotine products promoted as a healthier alternative to smoking? Hello, Przemek. Could you please tell us about the current state of tobacco harm reduction policy in Poland?
So the thing with the harm reduction in Poland is that it doesn't exist at all in the term of the health, especially in the area of alternative nicotine. And despite it doesn't exist, this is the funniest thing is that our levels of people that are smoking now in Poland reached over 29%. So it's one of the highest number of smokers in whole Europe. And despite of it, the government doesn't care about the harm reduction at all. And so there is no framework for harm reduction, and it's still considered as a fairy tale. And it's they literally use this term in the manner of harm reduction. And each year, the Polish government spend more than 30 million zloty on fighting with the tobacco products and to lower the rate of smoking, and nothing happens from many years. So this is the majority of the funds are going to campaigns that are against the alternative nicotine products, and this is for me it's strange, but it's also terrible. I think that this is all that I can tell about harm reduction in Poland. There is none.
And what is the official government message to the public regarding safer alternative nicotine products? And how is the topic shown in the media?
So the main message is kept the same for many years, and it doesn't change despite any new studies, and anything is going with the new information about safer products is just the same. So the main message is that everything is harming the same your health. So even the alternative products are more harm are making more harm than the traditional cigarettes. And the second thing is that the whole subject is pushed on youngsters, and or even the whole subject is just with the young people, not with the people who are trying to quit smoking. And this is one of the biggest problem that they are referring just to young people. The next thing is that the message is that everything what you can hear good about harm reduction and about alternative nicotine is considered to be message from the tobacco industry, and and it's probably false. So this is so you want everyone wants to trick you to use their products, and the last thing is that they are the best way to cope with this kind of product is to ban them and totally ban. So for every aspect of the alternative nicotine products. So it's beginning with the electronic cigarettes through the nicotine pouches, but with exception of heated tobacco.
The Polish Parliament has passed an amendment to the Act on the Protection of Public Health against the effects of tobacco use and tobacco products. What are the key changes introduced by this amendment?
So the key changes about the amendment. So there are two things connected with it. So there is the message of the government why they are doing this was to stop minors to use the even no nicotine cigarettes and liquids. And this is the first thing that is in this amendment, and this is connected with the so you have a law giving the fines for the stores who are selling for minors the electronic cigarette liquids and disposables, non-nicotine. Okay, so the second thing is that they make the liquids without the nicotine, which are considered to be used in the electronic cigarettes, to be also subjected to the same laws as the nicotine products, as a liquid containing the nicotine. So the major change is, first, you have to have this products registered the same as a nicotine product. And the second thing is that you have the bottle size of the non-nicotine liquids in a 10 mils. So this is so under this amendment, you have they change the whole market by forbidding the premixes. So there are the most of the products like before there was premix bottles, so long fills or short fills. They are changed to be forbidden now, and also the flavorings. You have the flavorings can be for now can be used only in 10 ml bottles. So what else? Of course, there is also the 2 ml law for the size of the containers, because the size of this was something that was not used in non-nicotine products. So the size of the container in the electronic cigarettes, which have to be now less than 2 mils. And this is the big thing that has started now. In the EU law, there is one thing that the volume of the liquid in the electronic cigarette liquid have to be less than 10 mils. And in the Polish law, the translation was that the bottle for the electronic cigarette liquid have to be less than 10 mils. So until I think about 1 month ago, this was not a problem. And from 1 month, they started to measure all of the bottles containing the liquid. Also, the capacity of the containers, which have to be less than 2 mils. And frankly, I think that there is no single device that is meets this criteria in the market, and not even single bottle, because more. Every bottle, 10 ml bottle, have to be bigger, have bigger capacity to fill it up. Yeah, so this is strange, but this is the thing that's also in this act, and it's also connected with the non nicotine liquids.
You mentioned banning e-cigarettes for minors. Does that mean that there is a problem with e-cigarette use among young people?
Yes, it is. Yes, there is a problem. Because even on the streets you can see many minors who are using electronic cigarette, but the most important thing is that the most of it is big puffs from black market and not the really regulated products. So making this kind of act, making disposables, legal disposables, disappear from the market, is making the thing that they are trying to opposite thing that they are trying to do. So to make minors to use electronic cigarette less, they growing the black market, and it's very easy to acquire this kind of products in Poland now, and it started to be more profitable for the companies to sell this kind of products. And we can see in the even on the Facebook, I'm getting adverts from the companies that are selling big puffs and sending it to your home all the time. And it's nothing, the government don't do anything with it because it's very hard to fight with this kind of sell. But despite to fight with the black market, they fight with the legal products, and I think that is going to be a bigger problem. Should the electronic cigarettes, even without the nicotine, be banned for the minors? Of course, yes. And is it a problem in Poland? Yes, big. It's some studies say that there is more than 70% people, youngsters in the schools who are using electronic cigarettes once a month, and about 50% who are using daily. But this kind of surveys, I don't believe them. But the government are doing such a service and make it public. But it's still, despite the numbers, I think there are less than 50%. I think it's about 30%, but it's still very big number. So it should be. You have to do something about it. But I think that the education should be the key to make something with it, not the banning of the products.
So, who should educate the public?
This is the thing. Who should educate if there is no harm reduction at all policy and harm reduction education in Poland? Who should educate? This is a big problem because we don't have any school. I don't know about what, about the cigarettes are harmful, of course, and there is this kind of education, but what else should we do? I really, for real, I don't know. I don't know for now because the campaigns of the black market products in Facebook, for example, on any other social media, is very connected with the minors, with the music and everything like this. And this is the like of forbidden fruit. I don't know how to say it in English, and it's very attractive for the young people, and in my opinion, it it would be very hard to do something with it, and it would be very. We should have a very good plan, educational plan, and maybe some other things, and especially true about harm reduction. Yeah. And one more thing, in my opinion, one of the big problems in Poland is that there is a big advertising of the cigarettes, and despite of that there is a forbidden advertising, the advertising of the cigarettes is forbidden. Every store, when you're gonna go to Żabka or some other groceries, you have whole shelves on, even on gas station. You have whole shelves which are one of the most beautiful shelves in the whole store. There is a cigarettes shelf. I think this is one of the problems.
Let's talk briefly about nicotine pouches, as some countries in Europe have introduced regulations regarding their use. What is the status of their regulation in Poland?
Okay, about the nicotine pouches, the first law that came out was the law about the excise tax, and it's from April of this year that the nicotine pouch is going to be subjected to taxation, and so you have to and even they started to be defined by the law because there was no such a product before in the law. And this is the first law that that they are subjected to taxation. And in my opinion, it's okay. So it's good to have something written in law and to regulate the market at all. And the second law that was introduces now, because I think it's going to be from today, it's going to be in a couple of weeks, is that you can sell and advertise the nicotine pouches. Is it okay? I think yes. It shouldn't be advertised and shouldn't be sold for the underage people. So there are two things, but there's also another thing that was introduced into the law, but it was cancelled just before the act that was happened this week. In the law, there was that the nicotine pouches would be considered the same. The law would be considered them as the same as heated tobacco products. So there is not going to be any other flavorings, despite of tobacco. But they canceled this act. But we are waiting for it, yeah. So because they said that probably in the beginning of the next year, there's going to be also the law that's banning the flavorings from the nicotine pouches. And also there is the definition of the nicotine pouches is very strong. I don't know how to say it. Very narrow, and so there is no place for the nicotine slice or something like this, like other products. Yeah, so like dissolving products in your mouth. So the nicotine pouch can't be dissolved.
And the last question to you, Przemek. What is the current regulatory status of other alternative tobacco products in the country?
So the year 2025 was, I think it was one of the most important year for the alternative tobacco product, despite of the regulation. The first thing was that they changed the road of the excise tax. That they gonna change the excise tax soon also from the beginning of the next year, it's going to be much higher. But this year, they introduce two very important taxes. They put the taxes, the first in the, I think, I don't know even if it's in the first in the world, the taxation of the devices. So we have now from the July we have the taxation of the devices, and it's so that each electronic cigarette, disposable or non-disposable, is subjected to taxation. So and this tax is about 40 zloty, so it's about 10 euro per piece. And there was a change also for about the definition of the electronic cigarettes, and the electronic cigarette in Poland now is considered every device that's after connecting to the power source or steering unit can be used as a vaporizer. So even the pods by itself, it's now considered as an electronic cigarette, and it's subjected to taxation. And so we are the pioneers in Poland with this kind of law. How it's gonna end with the products? I think that the first thing is that from the July, the electronic cigarettes are the disposable electronic cigarettes. There are no the disposables are not banned in Poland. They're gonna be subjected to 40 zloty tax, so this 10 euro tax per piece. So this is the same as you would ban them. And what about the other products? Probably with the other products, gonna be not they're gonna stay on the market. Of course, there's going to be much more money to be spent on this kind of product by the consumers. But I think that the product is going to survive this taxation, and the thing with the 10 ml bottles, there is a started to be a big problem, and controlling the whole bunch of products on the market is now happening, and we don't know what's going to happen with the whole market because of the capacity problem with the bottles, which is this is surreal for me, and. Also, the nicotine pouches is going to be taxated, so it's I think it's good for this kind of product to be legalized more and to be present in the law. But still, it's big fight with these products, and I think that the whole thing that is that the government doing in Poland is totally opposite to the harm reduction. And I think that in Poland, more than 80,000 people died last year from using from using cigarettes and from using alternative tobacco products, none. So maybe someone should take this into consideration.
Thank you, Przemek. That's all for today. Tune in next time here on GFN TV or on our podcast. And make sure to check out our conference website or social media pages for the latest updates.